Hey, I'm Mechanical Engineer, and this is the beginning of my spinner BattleBot. Not too shabby if I may say so myself. So as I previously said, this is part 1 on how to build a 1-pound spinner BattleBot. I'll leave a link in the description below for part 2 when it comes out, which should be this Tuesday. But in today's video, part 1, we're going to be building the body of the robot and really laying down the foundation for what's to come. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Before we can start building our BattleBot, the first thing we're going to have to do is arrange our BattleBot parts to see what kind of size and configuration we need the bot to be. After playing around with the different dimensions of my components, I've decided that the best shape for my BattleBot will be something like this. As you can see, it's 5 inches long, 4 inches wide, and is best described as a rectangle and triangle put together. The rectangle is 4 inches by 2 inches, and the triangle has a 5-inch base which narrows to 1.25 inches over the course of 3 inches. I want to build a horizontal spinner, so the idea is that we'll put the drive motors and other sensitive electronics towards the back and the protective housing, and then the spinner motor and blade itself towards the front. With our basic dimensions now figured out, I'm going to take a sheet of Lexan and cut it out. I'm now going to cut a few holes out the front of the frame to help make it a little bit lighter. Just like this. And as you can see, I did drill a few holes in the back, not only to make it lighter, but also to help with ventilation. So now it's time to build the 4 by 2 inch rectangular housing on the back of the robot. I'm going to cut out the back and sides of the robot at 1 7/8 inch tall, but the front I'm going to cut at 1 3/4 inch tall. You'll see why in a minute. But before I start gluing everything together, I'm going to cut a rectangular hole out of the center of both side pieces just large enough to snugly fit my motor housings into. Link in the description. Like these. Now after we slide the motor housings into the holes and glue them in place, we can glue all 4 pieces together onto the back of the BattleBot, gluing blocks in the corner joints to both add support and give us something to screw into later on.
Surprise! It's dry.
Like this. And I probably should have done this sooner, but I'm now going to drill a small 3/8 hole to the bottom left of the front frame, just large enough for our speed controller cables to be able to fit through. Next, I'm going to cut out 2 1/2 inch tall pieces and glue them onto the sides right next to where the spinner motor is going to sit. Like this. And the reason why I glued these pieces on is to help make the front piece a little bit more rigid and stop it from bending back and forth. Lastly, for the Lexan, I'm going to cut a top for our rectangular section, and I'm going to cut it so the horns protrude about 1.5 inches in front of it. Like this. We can now drop this in place and screw it down, drilling through the corners into the support blocks. Now if you remember back a little bit earlier in the video, I told you we wanted to cut the front plate down a little bit shorter than we cut the back plate.
I'm going to cut out the back and sides of the robot at 1 7/8 inch tall, but the front I'm going to cut at 1 3/4 inch tall.
That is of course so we had room for these horns on the top to be able to stick out. But what is the point of these things? Well, these actually help protect our blade and make our robot invertible. If for any reason our bot is to get flipped over, it'll land on these horns and not the blade, therefore saving the blade and still allowing us to drive around. And yes, I could have made the top side match the bottom side, but it would just add extra weight and it really isn't necessary. Speaking of weight, I wanted this frame to come in at under 150 grams and it comes in at just under 107. Homeschool high five. And with that, our frame is now complete and ready to get painted. And here we are after the paint has dried. So as you just saw, I sprayed the whole thing down with a base coat of orange spray paint, then took some red and blue spray paint and kind of sprayed sporadically all over the place to kind of help top it off. Then once everything dried, we were left with a very unique paint job like this. Not only does this look pretty cool, but it should also help cover up random gashes and dents that would get in the heat of battle, because with so much going on, it'll be hard for something like that to stand out. Not too shabby if I may say so myself. I'm quite happy with how everything turned out, and I think we're off to a pretty good start. And that is actually where I'm going to end part 1. But hey, thank you so much for you guys watching. I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, please feel free to hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And Lord, I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching, and please feel free to subscribe.